excellent day for a podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What an Excellent Day for a Podcast. And as always, be sure to do all the things to spread the word, letting the whole world know why they should be listening to this show. And if you yourself are not yet subscribed, see that little thing right there? Hit that. It'll make you feel real good. So anyhow, this episode is being brought to you by our sponsor, Doom Scrolling. That's right, Doom Scrolling. The number one thing we all love to do on social media when we're not out there begging the whole world to pay attention to us. And let me tell you, I love Doom Scrolling, especially when it inspires new episodes for this show. So, as I implied in that bullshit ad read, I was doing a little doom scrolling on the Facebooks. Yeah, I'm old, fucking Facebook, deal with it. Don't worry, I use the other stuff too, sometimes. But as I'm scrolling through, I saw a post from an actress promoting one of her newest releases. And this actress would just happen to be one of the many standout roles from the AMP film's release from late last year, OnlyFangs. And I really need to go back and not only watch the movie again, but need to do kind of a reboot on that review because there is so much shit I missed over, and some of it was on purpose because I didn't want to spoil it. It was still pretty new. Hopefully by now, most, if not all of you have seen it by now. But one of the actresses in the movie was Ellie Church, who played the stereotypical conservative politician in the movie. And it was great in that you take the lighthearted, playful tone of this movie, and she was kind of scary in it. She's definitely the kind of person I wouldn't want to be on her bad side. But I saw her post on Facebook of one of her other movies, and it got me thinking, I need to watch more of her stuff. Be curious to see, I guess, how much range she has in multiple roles. And I pulled up the movie she was promoting. We'll get to that a little later. And, yeah, there was a ton of shit on there that not only have I not seen, but some of it I never even heard of. So, as I said last week, kind of motherfucking this year for not having a lot of good stuff. At this point, I'm just looking for anything fun and or interesting to watch. And I think I got a little bit of that in this little rabbit hole here. So what I'm going to do is just give, a quick run through. I'm going to throw a spoiler warning out there right now. I kind of don't know what I'm going to say about most of these, but just in case, spoiler warning. I'm going to throw some chapters in this episode, so if I start talking about any titles that you have not seen or have any interest in watching, by all means, skip it for now, go watch the movie, and then come back and enjoy the show. Starting off, we have 2016's Plank Face. Directed by Scott, I believe it's pronounced Shermer, and written by Scott Shermer and Brian Williams. A man is taken captive by a feral family in the deep woods. They are determined to transform him, body and mind, into one of their own, whether he likes it or not. And yes, the movie is just that simple. I would say out of all these movies, Ellie is in this one the least. Actually, a lot of these, she plays the lead role, but this is more of a side character. In this movie, she plays Stacy, and she and her boyfriend Max are out on a camping trip. And while they're just getting set up to make some beans over the fire, this Plank Face comes in for the attack. There was him and another character, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but they basically come in, take him down, and then go over to Stacy and begin doing not very nice things to her. And ultimately, they end up abducting Max, taking him back to their cabin out in the middle of the woods. And the bulk of the movie is you have the bride, Granny, who's the leader, I guess, of these cabin people. And like Bunny Girl or Bunny Face, something like that. Basically, another woman wearing a bunny mask. And they go back to the house and decide, well, the guy who attacks them has a plank face, which is basically like they took a chunk of a tree and pulled the bark off and just slapped that on as like a mask. Had a little bit of a Groot vibe to it. In the beginning of the movie, I thought it was kind of silly, but as the movie progresses, I could see the creepiness of it. It was definitely a bit unnerving. Definitely not a nice Groot. But I thought this movie was going to be more slasher based, just a lot of killing in the woods and things like that, and that could not be further from the truth. Ultimately, you have the three women in here. So the plank face that attacks him, he ends up passing away in this movie. So the three women basically take Max, and they are going to make him the new plank face. So kind of give him a little Stockholm syndrome, and basically just deprive him to the point where he becomes the feral version of himself. And pretty much the whole movie focuses on this transition. And I'm not saying like good or bad. It was interesting to watch, but again, me thinking it was going to be more of this plank face out in the woods killing, and it focusing more on his transition from human to just fucking animal, kind of along the lines of Tusk, but obviously not as Kevin Smithy. But if you like Tusk, you would probably enjoy this. It's definitely a much darker version of showing basically humanity being stripped from someone. And poor Stacy really gets, she's not a major character of this. She's more of the bookends of this movie. Really gets a shitty deal in this. And yeah, it was an interesting watch. I mean, I had trouble looking away. I definitely wanted to see how this played out. Is it full of action and blood and all that? Nah, you get a little sprinkle of it in there. But as a whole, it's more of just focusing on the characters. And again, just seeing somebody being stripped of their humanity. Let's see how many more times I could say this in this review. But whatever. I never claimed to be a thorough linguist. But yeah, I would say out of 10, I would give this probably about a 5. It was just very middle of the road. Maybe knowing what I was getting into, going to watch this, it'd probably go up a little higher. And who knows, maybe on a rewatch, now knowing what it is, I could probably focus and appreciate what was going on a little more. But again, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just very like middle of the road. It's one of those movies I don't regret watching. It's definitely not one of those, I want my hour and a half back. It's worth checking out. Next, we also have from 2016, Harvest Lake, which is also written and directed by Scott Shermer. 5 friends fall under the seductive influence of a libidinous, otherworldly presence that threatens to change their lives forever. Again, very simplistic, very to the point. This is a movie that it kept coming to mind that Cronenberg was just hanging out watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers one day and was thinking, you know what this movie really needs? Just a sprinkle of Eyes Wide Shut. And yeah, that's my dumbed down analysis as to what this movie is. And by 5 friends, it's 4 friends that are hanging out. We have Kat and Ben, which are a couple, and it's Ben's birthday. Kat is played by the great Tristan Risk of American Mary fame and many, many others. And then we have Jennifer, played by Ms. Church, and also Josh, who is played by Jason Crow. He's another common thread with a bunch of these movies. So if you like him in this, you may like him in the other stuff. Not saying he plays the same character. In fact, in this movie, he plays the gay friend of the group. So you have Kat and Ben. Again, it's Ben's birthday, so this is his birthday weekend getaway. And they bring along the other 2 because they want friends to be joining them. And it's pretty much established that Jennifer and Josh are kind of there to entertain one another, while the other 2 get their freak on all weekend. And they are not shy about public displays of affection. Eventually, Mark shows up, who is, I believe, is like a loose friend of Kat's that she invited for the festivities as well. This is another one, like most of these movies run between like 70 and 90 minutes. This one's to the earlier part of that, which is, I believe it's like 73 minutes. So it's not, it's not a painful watch in the least. Even if you find it's not your thing, it's over pretty quickly. Although I'd say the second act of this movie is game night by the fire. Mark shows up with all these friends, and they decide they're going to have a little getting to know you. So they put him in the hot seat and give him the obligatory 20 questions. And some of it's, gets a little filthy, gets a little risque. They ask him about having a criminal past and things like that, but it's not like an interrogation. This is just a fun bunch of people hanging out and partying, getting to know you type of questions. I feel like back in the day, this is something like me and my friends would have done if there was a new person brought to the party. But then after they run through those, they end up going into a little truth or dare, which, of course, a bunch of people indulging in mind corrupting substances. What would you play? So, yeah, between the questions and the truth or dare, like I said, that takes up a substantial chunk of the middle of the movie. And normally that's something, again, you're familiar with my style, would be saying, oh, if they would have just trimmed that in half. I was actually entertained by it, though, this time. I don't know why. Maybe I was just feeling nostalgic and missed the good old days of partying and playing these dumb party games. But, it didn't feel too prolonged. But for some, it may. I don't know. But it kept me pulled in. Earlier on in the movie, they have the obligatory scene where they're all hanging out by the beach of the lake, and they go to take a dip, and Jennifer jumps in, and she's swimming about, and you catch a shot from underwater where this tentacle starts climbing up her leg. Very reminiscent. No, I shouldn't say very. I mean, there's plenty of movies where tentacles grab hold of someone, but of course, my brain went straight to The Evil Dead. It doesn't go full on what Evil Dead did, but you see it crawling up her leg, and then she ends up getting pulled under. Not in an overly dramatic way. Some might even say it was almost lackluster the way it pulled her under. But you see all the friends hanging out on the beach, and all of a sudden, hey, where's Jennifer? And she's like, oh, I'm right here. So again, they don't make a huge spectacle about it, but you see it happen. So it wasn't thrown in the background or anything, but again, didn't make a big deal about it either. So yes, fast forward, they're hanging out by the fire, they're playing their little games and everything, and this is where the sprinkle of Eyes Wide Shut comes in, that although there's 5 of them, and one of them is technically a third wheel, and then you have the one gay guy established from the beginning of the movie, or from earlier on in the movie at least, but no, everybody gets their freak on in their own little way, and it's kind of where the movie just kind of blows up from there. Once you get past that scene, that's where the shit hits the fan. You start noticing that you can't necessarily trust everyone. And one thing that stands out in this movie, and definitely one of the other ones that I'm going to get to a little later, the makeup effects, the monster effects on this, especially the monster effects in this one, fucking spot on. It gave me that 80s vibe, because the creatures in this are ridiculous. In the vein of as an 80s movie would have such monsters. But it looks really fucking good. And like I said, things get a little crazy, and there's definitely a dark ending to the movie, but in a sense, kind of a happy ending too. So I felt it to be pretty rewarding, very gross too, in some ways. But yeah, I would definitely recommend checking this one out, especially if you're a creep like me. It was entertaining aside of the sexy time, but that was definitely an element to the movie. But yeah, again, out of 10, I'd probably go a little higher on this one, give it probably a 6. It's something I would probably watch again. It's something I might even, try to pull other people to watch it with me. Who knows? See how many people I can corrupt. Next, we have from 2020, Kill Giggles. This one is written and directed by Jaden P. Buterin? I don't. I'm gonna say buttering because I'm a fucking child. But if that's wrong, my apologies. Feel free to correct me. Tommy Dos Santos wasn't born a psychopath, nor was he made into a sociopath. He was something entirely new, and he was walking his own path. A path that will run red with the blood of the foulest, most fiendishly frightening creatures ever conceived by man. No longer do they have the starring role in our nightmares. It is now the clowns who are the prey, running for their lives from a killer who won't stop until every single one of them is dead. As Tommy's body count rises, he finds himself getting closer and closer to what he thought was a ghost, the once great clown king known as Giggles, and wonders if laughter can't die, how about Giggles? Whew. Well, that was about 20 takes. Anyhow, of all the movies here, this is the most star-studded one of them all. And that's what stood out about this one. Of the many options of movies to watch, that's why I had to go and watch this one. This one has the great Vernon Wells as the titular Giggles. We have Felissa Rose, which you know we all love her. This is a role of hers. She plays Courtney Lee, who is Tommy's therapist in the movie. And I really dug her in this one. It's possibly the straightest character I've seen her play. I love me some over-the-top Felissa Rose, but this is definitely the most toned-down role of hers. And then also we have Judith O'Dea. They're coming to get you, Barbara. She has a small role in this, but she serves her purpose. And then obviously we have Ellie Church playing Eden, who turns out to be Tommy's love interest in the movie. So we have Tommy, who suffered some childhood trauma to where he doesn't necessarily have a fear of clowns, but definitely a full-on hatred of clowns. They do explain throughout what happened and why he despises these, as he puts it, monsters so much. But yeah, so you see him taking out a few early on, and then I think he works at this club. It kind of took me back to my skating rink days, which, again, a later movie I'll be discussing also does the same. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of like a fun zone kind of thing, but where they host parties for adults because they have a bar there. So you would think adults only. So we have Eden, who is at one of these parties, and she bumps into Tommy, and pretty much they kind of scan through the whole night of this one particular party early on, and you kind of see them eyeballing one another throughout. And the end of it's coming to the end of the night, and they decide to have a conversation. They indulge in a few drinks together, and they hit it off. So the whole movie is basically watching the two of these characters, with their budding relationship. And kind of evolving, but all the while, Tommy, anytime he encounters a clown, he kind of can't help himself. There are elements of his attitude and his actions, even though behind the scenes, but Eden definitely picks up that he, she gets the sense he's not a fan of clowns, and gives him a little bit of a hiccup in their relationship. And it turns out that Malcolm, who is Eden's father, her estranged father, apparently he loved the bottle more than he loved his family, and eventually ended up walking away from her and her family when she was very young. He played, way back in the day, he was the clown king, known as Giggles, the clown. And we have a moment where you have Tommy and Eden in bed, and they're opening up a little bit about their childhood. So this is when he starts to explain his childhood trauma and why he has such a distaste, because she thought he was kind of exaggerating earlier in the movie when he had a bit of a minor episode. But he explained why he's as fucked up as he is. And she kind of reciprocates a little bit by explaining some of her childhood trauma and what a shitty father she had. And, she definitely has daddy issues. So a little later on, she encounters Dr. Lee, and ends up asking her, do you think maybe, I guess she was proposing a little exposure therapy to the doctor of, what if I were to track down my father, because he's no longer a clown, but maybe if I got the two of them to sit down, and he will see that there is a human behind the makeup. And they, despite everyone's recommendation to not do that, that would be a very bad idea. She has her very toxic father and her very volatile boyfriend. Let's throw them in a room together. What could go wrong? And may see what could go wrong from something like that. Or who knows? Maybe it does help them out. But y'all gonna have to watch and find out. This one I enjoyed. Again, seeing we have a few genre icons in the mix here, that definitely helped out a little bit. But overall, this is another one I would probably put maybe about a 6. I enjoyed it. It's the longest one of all of them, and even then, we're talking like 94 minutes. 94. Absolutely worth a watch. Dare I say, it gave me a little giggle. And next, I'm going to throw a little spoiler for this video. I'm going to put the best for next to last. Because of my odd taste. And we are talking about the 2015 movie Headless, which is directed by Arthur Cullifer. Wow, I am really bad with names. So directed by him, written by Nathan Erdell and Todd Rigney. And this is basically a companion piece to the 2012 movie Found, which I am a huge fucking fan of. That movie is one that I've seen. I've only heard of it because it popped up on some people's like most disturbing list. I don't feel like it comes up enough, especially on disturbing lists. Don't get me wrong, the ones that people go to definitely qualify. But Found is, I might have to do like a full review on that one, because I don't want to say it's a hidden gem, but like I said, I feel like it's under-acknowledged. Or possibly under-seen. Who knows? After unearthing the lost slasher film from 1978 in Found 2012, the now grown-up skull-masked boy abducts and tortures helpless women. Now, he needs one more victim. Will her blonde-haired head end up on the killer's latest trophy? Yes. That's what the movie's about. So there's not a lot I could say about this one. If you have seen Found, you'll be familiar that the killer in that movie was heavily inspired by a movie called Headless. And you see a few clips of that in there. Now, I was late to the game in watching Found, but not too long after watching it, I heard that the movie Headless that is featured in Found does exist. And I was a little excited about that. I wanted to track it down, and then Shiny Objects came into play, and I kind of forgot about it. It wasn't until doing some research for this episode that, oh shit, I never watched that movie. And now seeing that Ellie Church is in it, now I have no reason not to watch it. But when I heard that it exists, initially, again, didn't do a lot of research on it, but I just assumed it was this 1978 movie that they used as like kind of a catapult. Like it was inspiration for the movie Found, not just inspiration for the killer within the movie Found. But no, it ended up being the other way around. Somebody took the idea from that movie and decided to make this featured movie within a movie. And it's presented as a movie from 1978. So again, we kind of, go to like Grindhouse, where it played as a 70s feature film. And if you do not know, if you're listening to this, and obviously you do know now, but if you were to stumble upon this movie and, ignore everything other than maybe the title and the synopsis, you could go into this, actually watch. I guess there's really no reason to believe it. But if you just blindly watch it, you could believe that it is a movie from 78. And this was the one that I mentioned earlier that I would reference in the future. Actually, I mentioned it twice because one, Ellie plays a character that works at a skating rink, and again, they pulled off just the whole vibe of a skating rink in the 70s. And I mean, just the movie in general, the aesthetic of it. I would say they did just as good of a job, if not better, than even like X. And I thought X had a very 70s feel to it. I thought that was well executed. This, again, is at least on par with the style and aesthetic of X. Also, well, it's the same effects company that did Harvest Lake, but holy shit, this is definitely the goriest, the grossest one of all the movies I'm discussing, which of course is why I love it so much. But the fucking effects on this are fucking spot on, man. If you couldn't tell by the title of the movie, or again, have seen Found and have not yet watched this, there's a lot of decapitation going on in this movie. And I have yet to have seen a decapitation in the movie where it looks really fucking real. I mean, most of the times it looks really good, but I would say this is definitely in the top maybe 5 of decapitations that look the least like a dummy head. They do a really good job on the effects of this. And again, this being a very gory, very like I said, the gore is almost secondary to the grossness of it. All of the effects on this are, again, amazing. I believe the people who did it was called Clockwork, like WERK, but Clockwork Creature Company. Now I have to go down the rabbit hole and see what other movies they did, because again, these 2 movies alone, fucking chef's kiss. But yeah, it's just this killer abducting people, removing their heads, and it gets disgusting. Being a huge fan of disturbing shit, and again, being a huge fan of Found, this one I'm probably going to go hard, which is a fucked up way of putting this. If you are familiar with the movie or its predecessor, I would go with a hard 8.5 on this. It's an absolute recommendation for people who like the disturbing side of horror and gore. And last, but certainly not least, we have the reason for this episode. Dare I say, the muse for this episode coming into being. As I was doing my aforementioned doom scrolling, I saw Ellie put up a post promoting her 2025 movie, Gush. And again, as you could tell by the poster, it's got the colors. You got my interest. And it was the first time that in a while that I saw somebody post about something that grabbed my interest. So we have a traumatized horror novelist is visited by a mysterious mute woman at a solitary writing retreat. And it's a very basic idea. You have the writer suffering from a little writer's block, and her publisher, Owen, who she's never met. Apparently it's always been a phone conversation or maybe internet conversations. Who knows? But he has this cabin in the woods and said he believes it would be very therapeutic if you were to take this cabin for a couple days to write your next book. So she has 2 books out, all in the same universe. And this third one, she's just really having a lot of trouble getting it done. She's just not feeling inspired. All the while, the movie starts off, you see that, she suffers a little trauma. There was a major life event that happens that has just fucked with her head. And you have her husband, Kevin, who's played by Jason Crow. And you see them in the beginning of the movie trying to have a little sexy time. And halfway through it, she's just having flashbacks to this horrible event that happened a little earlier in her life. And she's just not in the headspace. So you could see they're both suffering from this a lot. But he's desperately just trying to get his wife back. And she's very shut down about it. So it comes out that he ends up talking to Owen about what they could do about this situation, and that's where Owen recommends his cabin in the woods. So he ships her off to go there and see what she can do. And again, pretty early on, it's just this isolated cabin. It's a little dirty. You could tell nobody's been there a little bit, but I guess she has all of her necessities, including an older typewriter and a shit ton of paper to write this new novel on. She actually calls Owen up, bitching at him, like, oh, you didn't tell me it was this stripped down. I could have brought my laptop. And he said, you know damn well a laptop is going to distract the hell out of you. So we figured we're going to go as analog as possible. And yeah, so she sits down, she starts trying to write, and then you start noticing a figure in the cabin, and it gets closer and closer throughout a few scenes, and eventually comes in and basically gets into her head. And all of a sudden, she's on fire. She's just typing away, and yeah, just blowing out page after page on this. This is another one where it's not action-packed. Not a lot happens. Things do happen, but I guess it's a nice little character piece. And again, it shouldn't have grabbed my interest as much as it did. Yeah, you just see her, I guess you could say, relationship with this mute woman who has become her muse, has become the source of her just cranking out all these ideas and finishing. What she's saying is, because she does admit at one point that she feels by writing horror movies, she's manifesting these horrible things that have happened to her. So she agreed to do this one more book in this universe, make it a trilogy, and she is done writing about fucking horror. So Owen's not too pleased about that, but either way, he's like, we'll get this done. I know you're going to do great. And we'll circle back to this and see how you're feeling about the genre afterwards. But yeah, it's just a lot of her, I guess, again, having a bit of a relationship with this mute woman. But it also works out to be kind of therapeutic for her. She's finally thinking through and like working out the bullshit she's dealt with. And it's actually kind of touching. I would say this is more, I mean, funny enough that she's saying she wants to get out of the horror genre. This movie, yes, there are horror elements to it. I would say it's more of a dark, somewhat erotic drama. But it has enough in it that it does tickle our itch for horror. And yeah, I wouldn't say there's necessarily twist in it, but there were a few elements in the third act of the movie where, yeah, I didn't see that coming. Again, I wouldn't say it's presented as a twist, but falls along those lines. But I definitely like this one a lot. Again, something I would probably revisit. I'm going to go with a 7.5 on this one. And yeah, I would definitely say, obviously, Ms. Church is very excited about this to the point where she felt the need to post about it and recommending people watch it. And I would agree. It's worth a watch. If for no other reason, again, look at this fucking poster. It's fucking beautiful. So, yeah, Gush 2025, go watch it. And that'll wrap things up for this episode. Again, thank you for watching, listening, all of the things. And yeah, there were a lot of other movies in her IMDb page that like, I almost didn't record this. I need to watch more of these movies because there are, I'd say probably a half dozen more that definitely have my interest. Maybe I'll touch on them down the road in another episode, but either way, I'm glad with the ones I did watch. Like I said, did they all blow me away? No, but they were entertaining enough that these are 5 cases of, I'm not looking for that time back. They were all worth the watch. And outside of Headless, again, we're not talking full-blown horror, or again, I'm an extreme case, but enjoyable. They're worth it. And again, none of them are really long movies, so you can kind of crank them out in a decent amount of time. So as always, thank you for partaking, and be sure to subscribe, like, share, all the things. Follow us on all the socials, and be well, be safe, stay creepy, and keep talking some damn horror. Toodles.
Broadcast completed.
You've been listening to What an Excellent Day for a Podcast. Be sure to come on down to excellentdayforapodcast.com, where you'll find our entire catalog. And for your convenience, every episode contains a link where you can text the nerds. Want to throw some praise? Some critique? Perhaps you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like to see us tackle. But while you think about that, you can also check out the connections to all of our socials, including our YouTube channel. Give all them a visit. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with everybody you know. And for those feeling a little extra generous, there's also a button where you can support the show in other ways. Every bit of support helps. Well, that's it for this episode. And remember, stay creepy and keep talking some damn horror.